Hey guys, happy Thursday and welcome to my tea time. Welcome to my tea time. I hope you guys are doing well. I am trying to get this book out because I wanted to share something with you guys from a book. So I hope you guys are doing well. I hope your week has been filled with lots of love and some good energy. And if it hasn't, then I'm sending you loads of love and good vibes. But yeah, so last time I was sharing how I got a cup, a Buddha cup. Oh, you can't really see it. Oh, there you go. So I was pretty excited about that. And I got this in Big Bear, and it's Buddha. So as you can tell, I'm obsessed with Buddha all around. And I have a necklace underneath my shirt that's like Buddha too. But yeah, so I wanted to talk today about vulnerability, and I believe that I've made a couple of videos with some of my friends and also just on my own talking about vulnerability. And this week it has shown up again, the topic and the feeling of vulnerability and just getting to know more about myself and my own vulnerabilities and even pondering on vulnerability itself. So I wanted to talk about it today. And again, different words mean different things to like different people. So I want to actually share a specific definition of vulnerability. And I don't know if you guys know who Brene Brown is, but I fucking love her. And I love her definition of vulnerability. So yeah, so this is a good book, Daring Greatly. And again, it's by Brene Brown, and it's a great book. So I wanted to share what vulnerability means in her definition, which I agree with. So it says the definition of vulnerability is uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. And it is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up when you can't control the outcome. So again, I really, really like this definition of vulnerability. And vulnerability, super fucking hard, right? It's super hard, especially when, it's just super hard. Hold on, my camera. Okay. I don't like my door showing for some reason. But, yeah, and I wanted to give some examples. So, let's see. 35. And again, this book is really, really good, so I suggest you guys read it if you guys are looking for a really good read. Or anything of Brene Brown. Okay, there you go. So what really brings the definition of vulnerability up close and personal are examples people shared when I asked them to finish this sentence stem. So vulnerability is sharing an unpopular opinion, standing up for myself, asking for help, saying no, starting my own business, helping my 37-year-old wife with stage 4 breast cancer, making choices about her will, initiating sex with my wife, initiating sex with my husband, hearing how much my son wants to make first chair in the orchestra and encouraging him while knowing that it's probably not going to happen. Daryl. Hey, Daryl. So I am giving some examples of vulnerability. And it's from this book, Daring Greatly. So calling a friend whose child just died, signing up my mom for hospice care, the first state after my divorce, saying I love you first and not knowing if I'm going to be loved back, writing something I wrote or a piece of art that I made, getting promoted and not knowing if I'm going to succeed, getting fired, falling in love, trying something new, bringing my new boyfriend home, getting pregnant after 3 miscarriages, waiting for the biopsy to come back, reaching out to my son who is going through a difficult divorce, exercising in public, especially when I don't know what I'm doing and I'm out of shape, admitting I'm afraid, stepping up to the plate after a series of strikeouts, telling my CEO that we won't make payroll next month, laying off employees, presenting my product to the world and getting no response, standing up for myself and for friends when someone else is critical or gossiping, being accountable, asking for forgiveness, and having faith. So, Daryl, a question for you to ponder on. What's vulnerability for you? So I gave the definition of Brene Brown, and I really love her, and I really agree with like her definition of what vulnerability is. And I wanted to talk about vulnerability today because, like I said, like I'm learning more of my own vulnerabilities, and I'm learning more where I'm at, of course, and even the concept or what it really is. And something that I really wanted to share today was that there is a whole other space of when we're in the feels, and it's so vulnerable to ask for somebody to be there for us. So, hey, and the feels, right? Like, what do I mean by the feels? Like, and I'm sure many of you guys have experienced this in many different areas of your life, or maybe you will in the future, who knows, right? But in the feels, as in like when you are in deep fucking sadness, or in deep loneliness, or in deep frustration, or even grief, right? Like the feeling of wanting to be in your bed and not want to talk to anybody, or maybe some of you know like that feeling when you're in your car, parked outside of your house or parked outside of a place and you're just crying your eyes out. And that space, right? Like in that space, we feel certain feelings, and it's so hard to reach out, and it's so hard to reach out to even like our closest friend. And what happens, right? Like what happens during that space? And my intention with making this video about this is to share with you guys that you guys are not alone. And if you guys don't have anybody to talk to and you're watching this, now you do. But you can always reach out to me, even in that space, or before that space, or after that space. But super interesting. So this weekend, I felt not the depths, but I felt the feels of loneliness. And I'm in this moment, in the last couple of months, I've been getting in touch more with like some childhood pain and some experiences. So a lot of things have been arising. And this weekend I felt the depths of feeling lonely and the depths of feeling abandoned. And in that space, right, our mind creates so many reasons on why not to reach out to even like our closest friend, and why not to speak up, or why not to share these feelings. And this weekend I could really feel what Brene Brown mentions as vulnerability, of not wanting to share whatsoever. Can you show the book cover again, por favor? Yeah. So Daring Greatly. It's a really good book. She's awesome. Brene Brown. She has a really good talk as well. I'll send it to you. I can send you a picture of it, of vulnerability. But yeah, like this weekend I felt that space of feeling super vulnerable, and it feels like being super naked and not wanting to, again, reach out or speak. And I was realizing I was pondering on it like afterwards, and I was pondering it like during this week, and also like pondering it with like some of my friends. And one, like I'm not the only one that goes through this space. Two, like in that space, it seems like as humans we have this pattern where our mind creates stories on why not to reach out or why not to feel these feelings. And they can be so many different stories, right? Like, I gotta do this by myself. I can't reach out because they're busy. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. What are some other stuff? I actually read it. Let's see. Yeah, my friends are busy. Like, another one that also popped up was, like, I don't want to be a burden to my loved ones. Another one, too, that, like, popped up for me this weekend was how, and this is vulnerable for me to say as well, but something that popped up for me this week was that, like, I'm a pretty optimistic, like, positive person, and I don't want people to see me at my worst. in the depths of feeling super down or lonely or whatever the feelings are. So it's kind of putting a mask to like keep going, and putting the mask on to keep being positive, to keep being optimistic, to keep being who I show to the world a lot. And again, right, it's like it's practice to like take off this mask, maybe not with everybody, but with our loved ones. So it's interesting. So as I was pondering on this, right, like I was pondering and I was talking to one of my friends, and it's like, yeah, we create these walls, and in the process we become, also because there's another thought of like we have to figure this out on our own, right? And in the process we create these walls that create separation to our loved ones, or create separation basically. And in the process we become like these voices become our bully, but they also manifest as how everybody might be a bully in some way. And I'm not sure if bully is like the right word to say, but even having these stories of like being afraid of judgment or criticism when we're in that space, or how we're Debbie Downers, or like we become our biggest bullies, and we create these walls, we create separation, and we don't reach out, you know? Being aware and processing our personal limitations. Very interesting. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So it's all these stories, right? When we're in that space. And again, it's super vulnerable to reach out. It's already vulnerable, right? Like Brené Brown mentioned some of these examples. It's already vulnerable when we want to share certain thoughts that we have, but pondering on it again, right? And it's something I'm going to keep pondering on. Maybe I'll make another video in a couple months about it. But being in that space, it felt even more vulnerable. So yeah. So one of the messages that I kept getting this weekend and even this week is to speak up. Just speak up. In those moments when we feel like we don't want to share, we don't want to speak up, are the moments that we should step into. I don't like to use the word should and shouldn't, but in those moments when we become aware of like our mind, or our mind telling us not to speak up, could be an awareness to speak up, you know? And again, it doesn't have to be to anybody. It can be to like your closest friend. And in that moment when we're speaking up, in that moment when we're in the feels, or like even sharing some examples that Brené Brown shared, in those moments too, we break down those stories and we see how they're not real. We break down the walls. We break down, again, like the stories that our minds are creating on reasons why not to speak up or why not to share. So yeah, I really wanted to share this with you guys, because it's practice. It's practice every single time, and it's gonna continue to be practice, you know? But yeah, do you guys have anything else to say? Or you're on here, Daryl. Look at my cup. So excited. Also, like another thing that I also wanted to share was that from experience and being aware more of my feelings and my emotions and my thoughts, a journey that I've been really digging into like the past 2 years, and I feel like I'm not the only one as well. You know, sometimes we repress these feelings or these emotions because they don't match our life. They don't match the people that are in our lives, or the things that we're into in terms of like job or passions or career. Somehow our feelings don't match up externally, and we try to suppress them, as in like what? And we judge them. And an example, right? Again, going off from my own experience, like these last couple of months and this weekend and this week, is this feeling of loneliness, right? I think I started to really uncover it the last couple of years, and the last couple of months it's been more apparent, and I've been giving it more space, and I've been realizing how there's so much repressing because it doesn't match with the people that I have in my life, you know, the blessings that I have in my life, the love that I have in my life. And again, it's practice, right? Like creating the container to feel both, to witness both, to, it's not black and white, basically. Buddha cup and green Buddha on the shelf. Yeah, obsessed with Buddha. But yeah, and you know, adding something to that too, it's like our heart doesn't know, our nervous system doesn't know. So an example of that would be like grief, right? Um, someone could have passed away years ago, and in today time, now in the present moment, we might still be feeling it as if it was just yesterday. And sometimes there's judgment, and sometimes there is repression because it doesn't match up with, like, it was like a couple years ago. Why am I not over it? Or why am I not done grieving? Or why can't I just be happy again? Or whatever it is. Like, again, the stories. And it's a reminder that our heart doesn't know time. Our nervous system, and correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't know time either. So if we keep repressing them, it's still going to keep popping up until we give it space and really heal from it. So yeah. So the message for today, the tea time for today is, if you're in that space, in the deep fucking feels of frustration, loneliness, grief, like in those feels of just wanting to cry your eyes out and not talk to anybody, in your car, those are the moments where we speak up. We reach out to a loved one and we share, you know, and even if it's just like a, hey, I don't want advice, hey, I don't want to hear anything else, or not advice, I'm like reading the comments, hey guys, yeah, in that moment, right? Like even if you make a phone call and whoever you call, right, and say like, hey, you know what, I don't want advice, like I don't want to hear positive stuff right now, like I just want to vent, I just want to share my feelings. I guarantee you that the friends that you have will be like, okay, let me just listen to you, or okay, like I love you. And they will give you space, the space that you need, the space that you're seeking, and you'll feel so much better, so much better. And again, these stories will fall through. But yeah, hey guys, thank you for showing up. Okay, so that basically concludes like my tea time, and I wanted to share more of her definitions of like vulnerability. So again, this is something that I'm pondering on, and still am gonna ponder on. Okay, so again, read this book, guys. Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. There was another book by her called Braving the Wilderness. Braving the Wilderness? Yeah. And it's another really, really good book about like standing on your own, and having your own back, basically. Okay, so here are some things that I like that she says in this book about vulnerability. Some of the stuff. So vulnerability is the core, the heart, the center of meaningful human experiences. And here's another one. Vulnerability is the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, and creativity. It's the source of hope, empathy, accountability, and authenticity. Which reminds me, connection, right? Sharing your vulnerabilities, even if it's not in the moment when you're in the feels, sharing your vulnerabilities and having these conversations with people really create such deep, genuine connections. And I was hanging out with one of my good friends this week, and we went to go have dinner, and we are into the same passion when it comes to like nature and hiking, and we had a really good conversation about basically this. And in that moment, I could feel such connection being built. And not that we didn't have connection before, but I could feel and see the depthness of the connection being made. So, yeah, you know, those are the connections that we long for, that we want, that we yeah, that we desire. So it starts being vulnerable. And yeah. So, okay, much love, guys. If you guys have any questions before I log off, let me know. Or if you guys have any comments. Cheers. Okay, so if not, I want to end it with that quote again. Much, much love. So, vulnerability is the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, and creativity. It's the source of hope, empathy, accountability, and authenticity. So, can people connect? What do you mean? Can you explain a little bit what you mean by that? Can people connect? Like, whoop, whoop, peace out. Do you teach at home meditation? Yeah, I guide meditation like one-on-one through Zoom calls. If that's something that you're interested in. For now, it's Zoom. Oh, actually, we also have an event coming up this Saturday. If you're around in Seal Beach, where we're going to guide meditation. But, womp womp, peace out. But yeah, so I can reach out to you and we can talk about meditating together. Or yeah, I want to learn meditation at home. Okay. So you know what I do actually? One of the ways that I got into meditation was looking it up on YouTube. So I used to listen to a lot of guided meditations, and it's still something that I do now. Feng Shui, lol, if I'm spelling that right. Feng Shui. I can send you some guided meditations that I've used or that I started using when I first started getting into meditation. And they're simple and they're easy and it focuses on the breath. And then the more you get into meditation, like the more it becomes more specific as to like what you want to meditate on. Like now I'll do inner child meditations or like manifesting meditations. But yeah, I can send you some. I have like a playlist on my YouTube. Good to see you too. Okay, so yeah, so I'll message you. So much, much love, guys. I hope you guys have a beautiful Thursday and a great weekend. So, bye. Okay.